Fun fact about me, my favorite thing to do is sleep. My second favorite thing to do is drink wine. My third favorite thing to do is to get in bed with a glass of wine. And while I'm not recording my podcast today in bed, I might as well be because I am definitely in heaven. I have the honor of having one of my favorite wine educators here with me today to talk to us about wine and living the dream, living my dream. She's in Napa, guys. She is in Napa. She travels the country curating unique, social, and interactive wine-centric experiences. And she's just an overall badass. She is my go-to for any travel destination. She's going to tell me where to go. She's going to tell me what to eat. She's going to tell me what to drink. She's going to tell me where to stay, how to get there. She is truly our girl around town. Please welcome Tish Wiggins to Intimate Details with Dr. Tiff.
Hello there, Dr. Tiff. Thank you so much
Hey,
for having me, doll. Hello.
Tish, you were top of mind. There are certain episodes that I think about and that I plan, and certain subjects, like I said, wine. Have a glass every
Yes.
night. So, I always am trying to figure out how to incorporate this is just me being a little selfish, right? I do this show, I do it for the people. But every once in a while, I want to do something that I'm kind of like, I just want to drink. Okay? I just want to
Yes.
drink. I just
That's
want
what
to
we're
drink
gonna do.
wine
That's what we're gonna do.
with
We're
my
gonna chat and
girlfriend. I
drink.
just want to drink wine with my girlfriend. Exactly. So I was thinking, like, who, I do have a list of people that I want to talk to about certain subjects. And that list is short when it comes to wine because there are a few
Oh,
people that just really are right at the top of my list. And you are one of them. You're absolutely one of them. So I'm so
thank you.
thankful that you're here today. And I want to jump right in because we're going to be talking about this. Um, we have been talking about this. It feels like we've been talking about it for weeks. Um, Although I know we haven't. It's been a short period of time, but it feels like we everything's been leading up to this. If you've been following the podcast at Intimate Details Podcast on Instagram, if you've been following me on Instagram at Dr. Tiffany TV, if you've been following Tish at Tish Around Town, we've been giving you a heads up to go ahead and purchase Fete du Blanc, which is what we will be tasting towards the end of the episode. So, right now it's go time. Okay. You should already have your bottle. But if you don't have your bottle, here's what I need you to do. I need you to press pause. I need you to go get your bottle, chill it, bring it back, and then hit play. Okay. So that you'll be right in step with the rest of us. Okay. If you have the Google machine, if you have the Instagram on your phone, you can go ahead and order it. No, Total Wine delivers Drizzly. If you're here in Atlanta, you can go on over to Three Parks. If you're in Atlanta city limits, call Three Parks Wine. They will deliver it to you. So you don't
Yes.
really have an excuse. You don't have an excuse, okay? And if you don't want to do all that, you can just sit back and be jealous because we're about to have a ball. Me and my girl Tish
Yes.
are about to have a ball.
Yes, we
So thank
are.
you, Tish. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
I'm
you.
so thankful to have you here. You're looking beautiful. I know you're gonna come, you're gonna bring it. And I think first, before I want people to get to know you, of course. So it's interesting because with a lot of my guests, we've talked about we've shared that where we are today is not where we thought we would end up. When we started our careers, when we started college, when we started our first jobs. And I know that many of us just never thought that we'd end up where I know I didn't. I'm sure you didn't either, because ultimately you didn't set out to do this. You have had over 20 plus year experience in consulting, in managing multi-million dollar projects for major financial institutions. Yet here we are getting ready to sip some wine. And this has become more not even just a passion for you, but a major career shift for you. So
Yes.
talk to us about that. How did that all come about?
So, I am Tish Wiggins, affectionately known as Tish Around Town. Interesting enough, Tish Around Town, and Tiffany, you've probably been on the journey just as long as Tish Around Town has been born. But Tish Around Town was born in
Yes.
Atlanta in August 1st, will be 9 years ago. Tish
Are
Around
you
Town,
kidding?
yeah, I looked at the number, I looked at the dates, I was like, oh my. So 10
That is
years next year,
wild.
which is crazy. But basically, Tish Around Town started out as a blog where I would share what I was doing around town. It
Mm-hmm.
slowly went towards more food centric things because I think we all know this in the world of social media that your followers kind of dictate what they want to hear or what they want to see.
Mm-hmm.
So as time went on, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, they like the food and wine travel side of things. They really like the food and travel side of things. So I started to kind of post more in that direction, started to write a little bit more in that direction. Time went on, and in about 2018, I decided that I personally wanted to get certified in wine. Okay. Always had a
Mm-hmm.
love for wine. My love for wine was kind of like the natural co pilot to my love for food. Great food, great
Mm.
wine. But I found myself being a consumer in restaurants that was like, hey, excuse me, over here, I need your help preparing. I need assistance with this. And I soon said, well, let
Mm-hmm.
me get a little bit more educated and, learn a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
myself because I was really enjoying and loving wine. So
Mm.
fast forward, I got my WSET 2, which is the Wine and Spirits and Trust organization that I'm certified through. And when I got certified, I realized at that time that I needed to share this with not just myself, but more people. So that's when a
Yeah,
wine
so you
educator was
started out
born.
kind of doing it for you. Like the blog was the
It was
blog.
selfish.
You were yeah, yeah,
I
you
was
were doing
selfish.
it
I
for
mean, I
you.
wanted to know more about wine personally. I just wanted to be a better steward, out
Yeah.
eating and drinking because I'm this foodie. I'm traveling the world. I'm eating and I'm drinking good wine, but I still don't know a lot. So I wanted
Yeah.
to learn more. But then I think in a natural tissue around town type of fashion, I was like, okay, I share everything else. I need to start to share this too. And hence,
Mm.
that's when the wine educator was born. That's when I wanted to feel like more people need to know this, and not just more people. I'll be honest, more people that look like me and you. I want to be
Mm-hmm.
able to be that soft place to land, I call it,
Yeah.
for people that look like us. Wine is very intimidating. It can be
It can
intimidating.
be. It can be. But you make it feel and sound so accessible
Yeah, because
to
it
all
is.
of us. To all of
Because it
us.
is.
Yes. And I love this journey that you've been on. And I get to follow you around and live vicariously through you on this journey because wine is something that I fell in love with. I don't know exactly when, but it's been something that I've loved. And so I always feel like when I see you post or I see where you are, or what you're doing, or read something that you've written or an article that's been written about you,
Oh, well, I love that
um,
too.
yes, I'm like, gosh, man, she is living the dream. I wish. And you are doing it. And so, you know how they say, you've seen it on t-shirts, you're your ancestors' wildest dreams. Listen, you are your friends' wildest dreams. You are living it right
You.
now. And I'm so excited and so happy for you. And I love this career that you are cultivating for yourself. I love it.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
love it. I love it. I love it. So,
Thank you.
so that was the trend. So how? I, I guess I'm kind of wondering how you transitioned though. Because are you still kind of juggling both worlds at this point?
So interesting enough, I am still juggling both worlds.
Don't get yourself in trouble, okay? On the
Here
podcast,
you
don't
go.
tell,
Oh no,
don't
no,
tell
no,
all
no.
the
I tell,
business, okay?
I am juggling both worlds. I would say this:
Okay.
I'm very blessed to have a full time job that I do have flexibility in my time. That's first and foremost. At the same
Hmm.
time, what's made the transition to California easy for me, and what makes the juggling act, I would say, easy, is that I work Central Time on my full time
Hmm.
job. I finish every day between 1 and 2 o'clock p.m.
Yes.
And so I have more than enough time still to do Tish around town. So then there's this job, and then, I clock out of that job and I'm headed to do Tish around town things.
Yeah.
So I've been here in Napa since the end of February. And what my life has consisted of right now is the phase I'm in right now is research and development. I
Hmm.
am basically just putting my hands into the region, I'm learning, making the contacts, figuring out what my wine tourism company will look like. How will Tish show up in the region?
Yes.
And what will I offer that's different? I feel like what I'm planning to offer will be definitely a breath of fresh air, to be something different. It definitely will be education focused, which I feel like that's probably my biggest thing, is that I think that sometimes we can all get out and have a great time. We're eating and
Mm-hmm.
drinking, we're being merry. But can I just give you one or two small factoids to be
Yeah.
able to bring that eating and drinking and being merry home? So that's why I
Yeah.
like to do kind of like the sip, socialize while you learn. Because we're going to sip and
Yes.
we're going to socialize. You see, that's what's important, sip and
Yes.
socialize. And then
Yes.
let's throw some learning in there. And I
Yeah.
just think that that's one of the things that I really want to be able to focus. One of my biggest focuses for my Tish Around Town wine tours. So it's just some things that I'm working on, and I think that will be able to set me aside. It's a big pond out here. There are a
It
lot
is.
of wine tours that are out here in Napa. There are a lot of people that have been planted here for years and years and
Mm-hmm.
years. But I've traveled here quite a bit over the last few years, and even the last 10 years. I was coming in and out of the region. Even if it was once a year, I was still coming in and out of the region, feeling the valley. And then in the last
Mm-hmm.
few years, coming a lot more and just falling in love with it more and more when I said, I want to make this place my
So you just loaded
home.
up the truck and moved to Napa.
Basically,
Wow. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
basically,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's wild. It's
Every
wild.
day I wake up and first I'll say, thank you, Lord,
Mm-hmm.
for allowing me to just be here. That's first and foremost. The second thing is, thank you for the guidance. I mean, just having that ability and feeling like this is one of the decisions I've made that I feel like it's the best decision. I
Mm.
think my only other decision I feel like I made that was great is when I decided to go to Grambling State University. I always say, if I look at the trajectory of my life, it was like if I
Yes.
didn't go to Grambling, I wouldn't do this. If I wouldn't go to Grambling, I
Yes.
wouldn't do
Yeah.
this. If I
Yeah.
didn't go, so I always say that that's one. Here is number two: is that if I did not move to Napa Valley in just a short 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
so many doors have already opened.
Yeah.
That I mean, words can't
It's
even express it.
confirmation that you were exactly where you're supposed to be in this time.
Yeah. When I was moving, another
Yeah.
one of the confirmations I received, and I had to learn this too as a lesson, is that I waited the entire time for a shoe to drop. I needed something to go wrong because you got to remember, by
Yeah.
day, I'm in IT, I'm a project manager. I don't do nothing but fight fires, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm,
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting on the file not to show up. Something's going to happen. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
here just, all right, shoot,
Mm-hmm.
where's
Mm-hmm.
that? Come on, I'm
Mm-hmm.
ready,
Mm-hmm.
and with this move, looking for the shoe. Come on, I'm ready. What? Okay, what adversity I got to deal with? What's gonna happen? Nothing happened. It was smooth.
The path was clear.
I- And I had to take a step back and say,
Isn't that scary
"Hmm,
though? Isn't that scary?
this. But I was reassured that this is what it feels like when you're doing the right thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's
And so many
scary. Oh my
times.
God,
Yeah.
it's so
It's
scary.
scary because like, I think the scariest part is that nothing's going wrong. Because we walk into
Shoot,
so many situations where we just anticipate, something gonna fall apart, something gonna go wrong because
come
that's
on.
life. Nothing's
I
ever
am, and I'm
perfect.
sitting and I'm sitting waiting on it. I'm begging for it to
Yeah.
happen, and I'm like, okay, this would be a good time for it to happen because I can deal with it. Okay, if it's not
Hmm.
that my car is not going to make it, you know what? That's fine. Let me start to think about what I'll do just in case. Oh, if my place isn't ready, what am I going to do? I was putting plans B, C, and D together
Hmm.
because that's the
Hmm.
plus the
You were
planner in
project
me.
managing. Yes. You were
And I didn't,
project
and
managing
I just
everything.
had to go with my main plan. Everything came into place, and then even other
Hmm.
blessings that even just came, surrounded around it. That it was
Yeah.
it,
This is where you
that
were
was
supposed to be.
another confirmation for me.
Yeah. So if nothing else, if ever you doubt yourself, right? You can listen to this podcast. You can come back and listen to this episode because you are supposed to be exactly where you are. It is
Yes.
confirmed. You are
Yes.
exactly perfectly positioned and aligned to do exactly what you were put on this earth to do, right
Yeah.
where you are, right in this moment, right now.
Yep. And just finding a space and place in the world of wine, it took me a little time to even figure out that I would land on more of the lifestyle tourism side of wine.
Yeah.
I went through the journey of, of course, doing some wine education and events and stuff, for which I still will always do that. But I worked part time at a wine bar when I was living in Dallas. So, working part time 2 to 3 evenings a week out there doing tableside psalm, being in the psalm. You know what I'm saying? Truly
Hmm.
being that psalm and knowing the producers, knowing the writers, knowing this, knowing that, actually dictating someone's actual journey through the world of wine. I did that. But I was doing it initially in preparation of saying, okay, I think I might want to own a wine bar. And I still do. But what I realized during that journey is that it's not the time. But it also
Mm.
put me in the side of the service side, and I love
Yeah.
hospitality. I love
Yeah.
that. And so
Yeah.
I just did different things that helped me to get to this place. I mean, when I had the opportunity to plan my, first large trip out here to Napa Valley, which was the Celebration Woman of Wine that took place in March of 2022, that's when I found my rhythm. That's when I said, this is it.
This is the
Because
thing.
it's basically using all of my skill sets that I have from a project manager experience. And
Hmm.
it's fun. I always joke and say, if I can manage multi gajillion dollar projects, moving 20 to 30 to 50 to 60 people through Napa Valley is light work on a good day.
All right, light work. Come on. Let's get this intimate details wine tour with Tish around town started.
But you know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
because it's
Yes.
something I love and I have a passion for, and I'm
Yes.
qualified. I'm qualified to work with the
I
details.
love
I'm
that.
qualified to do
Let's
project
talk
management.
about it.
That's basically what it is.
Yes. Let's talk about the certification though, because I know you're level two. I think you are, if I'm not mistaken, studying for level three. Is that correct?
I'm studying for level three. I've actually put level three actually a little bit on pause because I'm actually about to switch gears and I'm going to get certified through the Napa Valley Wine Academy here on Napa Valley. So there is a
Ooh.
certification that you can take particularly for Napa Valley,
Well, let's talk
so
about just certification in general because I
mhm,
imagine that this conversation is not falling on deaf ears. There are people out there who, like me, love drinking wine, maybe have thought about, wow, I wish I could transition my career, or maybe they're just looking at you and thinking, I never even knew that you could do this. So let's talk about what it takes to do what you do,
yep.
the type of certification that you've already been through, what you're doing in Napa, the training that you're taking now, and then what the next step is for you.
Yep. So from a certification perspective, when I initially started looking into certifications, pretty much in every major city, there are different educational centers. If you live in
Hmm.
an area and there isn't an education center, there are a lot of ones that you can do online. So, for example, Napa Valley Wine Academy is one that you can do remote, right? You're
Okay.
able to do it virtually, you're able to do it remote. If it's a tasting component, if you're at a level that's a tasting component, they send you out samples. So you still are engaged with your actual, individuals and things like that. So there are, just like in most businesses, there are multiple types of certifications. So I'll talk about probably the main two, and there are some other ones, but the main two that you're going to hear a lot about is you're going to hear about WSET. And basically, what
Hmm.
WSET stands for is Wine, Spirits, and Trust. It's an
Hmm.
organization that basically it's based in the UK and they certify people in wine. And then the other one that you're going to hear about is the Court of Masters of Sommeliers. So those are kind of the two that reference. You hear somebody say, "Oh, I'm certified through the court." That means I'm certified on that
Gotcha.
side. Now, a lot of times, the way that you can kind of distinguish the difference between the two is that people, if my initial onset, if I am young and I know, or if I know that I want to do service, I truly want to be that sommelier that is working at events, I'm working on the floor,
Hmm.
will run a restaurant, the beverage program, things like that. You can do either certification because they're kind of cross education wise, but more service oriented people will usually go the
Mm-hmm.
route of the court.
Okay.
Um, the WSET side of things, basically same information because you're still going to learn about the terroir, which is going to be you're going to learn about the soil, the weather, the grapes, how they grow, the winemaking process,
Mm-hmm.
but the court really focuses a little bit more on the service side of things. So, depending on what other route you may want to go in wine, sometimes people will do just the, wine and spirits and trust certification. And then there's a level one. Most people can kind of test out of not taking level one because it's not required for you to take level one, that you can go right into level two.
Okay.
Level one is basically an 8-hour course that you kind of spend the day learning about wine. And it's kind of that, but most people
A
who,
basic
if
level
you,
taste
it's
test.
really, if you got good basic knowledge about wine that you've studied on your own, you can easily, just go into level two. The basis
Mm-hmm.
of level two in its training is that basically the book basically teaches you everything that you need to know to be able to read a label. But when you're reading that
Mm.
label, what's behind the label, right?
Yeah.
Because if you think
Okay.
about if you're drinking a wine from the United States versus a wine from France, or versus a wine from Italy, versus a wine from any other part of the world, all of the labeling means something different, right?
Got
So
you.
for you to
Yeah.
be able to successfully read a French bottle, you actually have to know the regions. You actually have to know what's grown
Mm.
in the regions. So think about it. I know we talked about your love for Sancerre. It's literally,
Sancerre. Yes.
it's going to say, blah, 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 producer. I'm just going to say Sancerre. You have to
Mm-hmm.
know that Sancerre is a region that produces Sauvignon Blanc grapes. You don't know that
Yes.
unless you are familiar with that actual
Yeah.
region. So that's what I mean by
Yes.
that. Level two teaches you how to read the labels, which in turn you start to learn a lot about this. You learn at a very high level soil. You learn a lot about the climates and why the grapes do what they do,
Mm.
and then you're really touching on the winemaking process in itself.
Mm.
And then
Oh my
you
gosh.
really start to get in there and you start to get the three. And then there is a diploma level in wine and spirits and trust. And that diploma level is 4 parts. And when people get the
Ooh,
diploma, it is, yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It's a big
And
deal. And that's the
so
same thing with
the
the court.
it's a
So if
big
you go to the
it's
other
okay.
side with the
Yeah.
court, you have your level one, your two, your three is advanced. But then you always hear about the masters. There are less than 300
Mm.
masters in wine all over the world.
That
We
is
have
wild.
three that are black that
That
are
was my next
masters.
question. How many of
We have,
color do we have?
I think, 3 or 4. Don't quote me because we just got a new one.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that made him 3 or 4, but and actually it's a
Yes.
gentleman, the last gentleman that became a master. He's actually from Atlanta or based in it. I think he's from Atlanta. I think it's a
Oh,
tie back to Atlanta some kind of
awesome.
way with the last
Awesome.
gentleman. So yeah,
Wow. So what's the ultimate goal for you, Tish? What can we just all touch hands and agree on today? How can we support you virtually in prayer and song? What is the goal? What are you striving for at this point?
at this point, building out a successful wine tourism company.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and at the same time, I do plan to continue on with some education. The WSET 3 for me is really, it's a hard test and I just need
Yeah.
to pass it. That's a personal challenge for me
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
interesting thing about being in wine, and it's in any industry, when people are self-taught and self-studied, um, if you know your stuff, you know your stuff. But I think
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
too, being a person of color in wine, sometimes we got to back that thing up with our education.
Yeah.
So,
Oh
and
yeah.
I, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so so to me, WSET 3 is a personal. I also, like I say, when I'm embarking on the, certification, kind of flipping gears and going more Napa Valley so that I can just be much more knowledgeable about this region and area, which is going to make
Yeah,
me a better tour guide. It's going to
absolutely.
make me so much of a better
Absolutely.
tour
It's
guide.
going to make you
So,
more well-rounded, especially for that area, because from what it sounds like to me, and what you're saying, you're learning about wines all over the world with the WSET,
mhm.
and your tourism is going to be based in the Napa Valley region for in the beginning at least. I'm sure you'll be
Yes.
global
Oh no, it's
in
scalable, honey. This thing is global.
later
This thing is
moments.
big.
Yes, of course, of course. So it makes sense though to concentrate your studies for right now, at least in the Napa region, to get to know home
Yep.
and then start to branch out further and further and further. So as promised, you already given us wine education. You've already given us wine education, but I do want to allow you to just kind of move on. I have my bottle. I popped it right before we came on just so it could breathe.
Yes. A little
Tish
breathing.
told me to go ahead and Tish told me to go ahead and pop it so that I wasn't struggling trying to get the cork out or any of that kind of stuff. So I did go ahead and pop it. It's been sitting in my little ice thing.
Yeah.
I'm
You got
trying
your
to
wine
pull it out.
chiller. Yeah.
I do, dude. I got this off of Amazon. It's like a black thing, little black
It's
thing, and
cute.
it pops out. The end pops out. There's an ice thing inside. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. So it keeps it cold for like hours. So I
Yeah.
usually bring my wine. I like to bring my wine upstairs in the loft while I watch TV, but I don't like having to go back and up and down the stairs to get a cold glass. So I just So this is the
Hello.
bottle. This is what it looks like.
Mm.
La
So that is
Fete
Le
du
Fete
Blanc.
du Blanc. So,
Yes. So, can you tell us a little bit about this particular winemaker and why we chose this? Because I'll be honest with you, it's May. I think this episode is going to air May 31st, right?
mhm.
When it starts getting hot, I don't drink a lot of reds, and we initially had
Yeah.
picked a red. But then I called Tish back and I'm like, I think we need to pick a white or a rose because
Yeah.
I'm gonna be feeling like that. I'm not gonna be feeling like drinking a red. I would drink it, now, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna drink it. It's wet and it's wine. I'm gonna drink it. But
The two W's.
but I want exactly that's all I need. You're gonna teach the the five S's. I'm
That's
gonna teach
it.
the two
The two
W's.
W's.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour. You talk about this particular wine and why we chose it. And I'm gonna go ahead and get pouring so we can start sipping.
All righty. So basically, in the world of wine, and some of the things that when I focus on brands, I love the big store brands. Don't get me wrong. If I see them and if that's an option, I'm purchasing them. I definitely will refer them. But whenever I have an opportunity to talk about brands that's made by people of color, brands that are made by women, and just your smaller producers, I try to scream those from the mountaintop. I feel like the big box
Yeah.
brands, they got a big marketing department and they don't need
Yeah.
little old me telling you guys about them.
Yeah.
But Lafette du Rosé, but basically the company name
Mm-hmm.
is Lafette du Rosé because it actually truly started out as truly just one actual SKU of being a rosé. So
Mm-hmm.
the CEO and
And that's the one
founder,
that I started with. That's the
yes,
one I started with. And if I'm not mistaken, please tell me if I'm wrong. Did they just partner with Delta Airlines for the
they
long haul flights?
They did. They are on Delta Airlines. You can find Lafette du Rosé on in first class,
Yes.
on
Yes. Because I
certain
mean, where
routes.
else would she be, darling?
I mean, come on. Also,
Come
too,
on.
a fun fact about Lafette du Rosé itself
Mm.
is
Hmm.
that they actually have partnered with CP3. So Chris Paul is actually involved in this brand.
Oh,
Yes.
look at that.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, so that was my first introduction. Lafette de Rose. I loved it. And this has been out for a little while, but for whatever reason,
Two vintages.
I have no idea why I haven't tried it. And when you suggested it, I was like, okay, that's perfect. I haven't really tried it. I was happy to walk through this with you. Um, they are out of France, correct?
Yeah, so let me tell you. So I'll give you a little bit of background. So
Yeah,
the CEO and
yeah.
founder is Donnie Burston. Donnie Burston actually has amazing ties back to Atlanta. Hence, he actually lives in Atlanta, but he attended Clark Atlanta.
Holla at your folk. Holla at your
Them
folk,
your peoples.
please.
Them your
Okay.
peoples. Okay.
These is my folk.
These
Okay.
these are your people. So basically, his career started out in the kind of wine and spirits arena. He
Mhm.
was that gentleman that was at the club doing the marketing and stuff at a younger age. And then from there,
Mhm.
he's worked for many brands, Dom Perignon, Moet Chandon, Hennessy, he's worked for all of the big brands, right? And at one time, he just kind of sat back and he was like, okay, I've got so high. I'll never be the face of this. Where can I be the face of something to be a luxury brand, And
Mhm.
and then I always joke with him. We became friends over the years, and I'd be like, "Oh, you bougie," you know. But his bougie ways, I always joke and laugh with him. But basically, he kind of got into kind of rosé and wanted to do something,
Mhm.
related around rosé. Is that when he went to San Tropez for the first time, and he realized that that was the
Yes.
drink that you on the boats, you kicking it, you chilling, men,
Yes.
women,
Yes.
everybody's
Yes.
drinking rosé. And so he had a
Mhm.
vision that he wanted to change, basically take rosé out of the hands of just what we normally would see, maybe just a white girl having a good time with her girlfriends only to drink rosé. How often do you really see men that will have a glass of pink?
Right.
Now you're starting to
Right.
see more people because
You
he's a
see it
face.
more.
He's a man that's like, I drink rosé. You should drink rosé too, and
Yeah.
also knowing the heritage and the history of good rosé. He always says, if
Yeah.
it doesn't come from Provence, it's not rosé. And that's what he'll message me if
Oh.
I post a picture of
Oh.
rosé, and he'll say that. So basically, he
Oh.
set out on a
Oh.
journey to
So
make,
what
and
I'm hearing
basically,
you say is I need him to what I'm hearing you say is we need him on the
oh, you got
podcast
to get him on the podcast.
to talk about, yeah, we have to have him on the podcast because I
You
need
got
to
to.
listen, I've never been to Provence, but I do
Provence.
love a yes.
Provence.
And rosé is one of my faves. So I'm really interested in hearing more about that. So how did we go from that fantastic rosé? I've had that rosé several times.
Yep.
How do we move from that fantastic rosé to this deliciousness?
Oh, deliciousness in the glass. So basically,
The Le
this
Fete
is
du
his
Blanc.
second. This is
Mhm.
his second vintage.
Mhm.
His first vintage was just a few
Mhm.
thousand cases for him to just try it out
Mm.
in the market. It did very well.
Mhm.
So then he did a second vintage, and now he has the two SKUs now. So he has the Lafette du Rosé, and he has the Lafette du Blanc. And I mean, it's
Mhm.
just amazing. So basically, he's I want to say I think this is correct, but he is the first he's the first African American to have a Provence style rosé, to own a brand that produces a Provence style rosé out of France. So
Isn't that amazing?
that in itself is just history
Yes.
making. I think the
Yes.
other thing that's great about him having the two SKUs and having the rosé and then now the blanc is that at the end of the day, Lafette means party, and you can party with pink
Yes.
or you can party with white,
With
either
both of
one,
them.
you know.
Both
And
of
then
them.
let's talk a little bit about about this actual wine itself. So let's just talk a little bit about
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And what
Yes.
I
Let's
wanted
talk
to
about that.
do was just take you through the five S's. So no matter what
Yes.
class
Yes.
I'm teaching, I don't care what level you are in your wine journey. I mean, you are a wine connoisseur to the fifth, your power. I still take people through the five S's because I just think it's a matter
Yes.
of learning how to formally taste to be able to at least get the essence of what's in the glass. You don't have to do this for
Mm-hmm.
your entire sips, but I always say, let's just go through these steps for the first 2 to 3 sips so that you can actually engage with the bottle. So the first thing that you're doing, you
And
always see.
unfortunately,
Mhm.
Tish, I already started
No,
drinking.
and that's fine. I mean, I'm glad you did.
So
I'm glad you did.
let's start over. I'm gonna pretend like I ain't have nothing.
N-
So
no, that's
these are the
perfect.
first couple sips. Okay.
No, that's perfect because I
Okay.
think you're going to taste more once I tell you how to
Okay.
formally taste.
Great.
Okay, so the first thing of the five
Okay.
S's is that you will always see that most people are going to always just take a look at the actual glass itself. They're going to take a look at the wine itself. And you notice that when people are doing blind tastings, I know you guys have probably seen Uncorked, and when people do like blind tastings and, what's in the glass and what is this, the first thing they're going to do is look at it, because when you're looking at this, it starts to give you a little bit of indication about what you're looking at. So if I was to look at this, you see that it's more of a lighter kind of straw looking yellow, right? But what about if
Mm-hmm.
I poured a white for you that had a hue that was a lot darker? Reminds you of maybe, urine or something like that, a little bit darker, a little bit more of a darker
Yeah.
color. You've seen it like a
Okay.
darker Chardonnay, or something that looks a little bit
Yeah,
darker than
yeah.
this
Like
color.
that was what I was thinking of as Chardonnay. Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but what that starts to indicate to you is that maybe how was it made, right? So if it's something that's a little bit darker and
Sure.
it's a darker yellow, that means that it potentially has seen some time in a barrel. So these are like little small
Okay.
indications that you're able to even get
Little
before you
clues.
even see it. If it was red, if it was a lighter bodied red and you can kind of see through the glass or something, you can see through it and it was translucent a little bit, you'd be
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this is
Mm-hmm.
a lighter bodied red versus being a medium body. So you'd be like, maybe this is Pinot
Mm-hmm.
Noir. I know it's not Cabernet Sauvignon. So you're just basically
Yeah.
things that you can just see when you initially indicate, just from an indication of seeing. The next thing you need to do
Sure.
is, I need for you to just now, without swirling, just put your nose in a glass and just smell. Take that in with your smelling. You're going to be smelling some fun aromas like some citrus notes, some honeysuckle, some grapefruit notes, some lime notes, just citrusy. Okay. All right. Now take your glass and then put it on a hard surface, or you can be fancy and swirl it in the air, but just do a swirl to it. Okay, take a smell now and let me know if it smells different.
It does smell a little different.
Didn't it? So
It's like
basically,
almost juicier, fruitier, like just more hold on.
mhm,
It's I don't have the
it opens
language
up the
for it, but
aromas. It basically opens
it
the
does.
bouquet up.
It's
So, so the reason why, now
yes.
mind you, you'll see wine pros and
Mm-hmm.
wine enthusiasts to the fifth power. They're not doing it because it's
Yeah.
like to look
Rocking it
cool,
out.
even though it does look cool. When you swirl a
Yeah.
glass of wine, the reason why they're doing it is they're actually aerating the wine and they're adding a little bit of air to it
Ah,
so that it can open up the bouquets for you.
yeah.
Okay. So now that you've taken a look at it and all of that good stuff, right?
That it. I've swirled it. Yes.
Yep, 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 yep. Now, and you've also done you kind of done step three already, but just how that sniff is
Mm-hmm.
so different, right? Just after that
Mm-hmm.
swirl, that sniff is totally different. Okay.
It
Now
is.
this
It
is when
is.
this gets
It's
fun.
wild.
Here's when it gets fun. The sipping part. Okay. I want you to take a sip like you would normally take a sip. Enjoy it. Okay. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
No. I
Mm-hmm.
want you to take a sip. But when you take this sip, I want you to take it in, hold your tongue, and then just sip it a little bit slower than you normally would.
You mean like swallow it a little bit slower?
Yeah, just swallow a little bit slower. Just, yep.
If I thought this was that kind of podcast, I
I,
would have
I,
tuned in.
I mean, we could have talked about something different. Yes,
Next time,
boo.
girl. Next time. Okay.
Next time. We do the sexy points of wine.
It's like all over my tongue.
Hmm. So now,
Yeah,
does it taste different? Does the taste seems enhanced? Are you able to connect more
it
about
does.
now you can start now you start to understand when we start to be able to call notes, right? Because now you're actually
Mm,
truly able to connect it. And then basically you swirled it,
yeah,
and you got to remember your nose and your mouth are going to work together. So now you're
they
smelling
work
more
together.
aromas, right? So you're not just getting this.
Mm-hmm.
If you just picked up the glass, you're just getting
Mm-hmm.
this. You swirl it, you take that sip, you
Right.
savor it down, you've got, you
Yeah.
know. So
The
basically, I just tell
olfactories
people,
are out of control right now. Like I'm tasting, I'm smelling, there is something going on my tongue. Like it's just all, I'm feeling it all up in here, all up in
right.
here.
And
It's
so,
delightful.
and so that's why I tell people, I'm not telling you you got to drink your entire bottle like this, but take your first
Ooh.
two sips at a
But here's
minimum.
the thing though, Tish. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I should probably drink my whole bottle like this because then the bottle might last me a little bit longer.
It may
Because
last a little bit longer.
typically it might last me a little bit longer. Because what tends to happen, the Le Fete du Rose, and a couple others, we have a mutual friend, Sarah, who owns
Yes.
Three Parks Wine Shop.
Shout out
And
to
we
Sarah
love her.
Pierre.
And shout out to Sarah Pierre. Is she not a gem? She is just a gem. But she refers to certain wines. I don't know if she refers to this one, but this is what I think. She refers to certain wines as porch pounders, meaning
Yep.
they're things that you could just sit on the
Bang.
porch and just knock them back.
Yep.
For me, right
Yep.
now in this moment, if I don't savor it in the way in which you're telling me to savor it, I could go through a case of that in a
Yep.
matter of days.
Yep.
Like it is that delicious, that clean, that easy to drink that it just I can't think of a better way to describe the feeling in that it just coats your tongue and I could just sit outside. I don't even have to have food. I would
Right.
love a piece of cantaloupe right now, however,
Nice. 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 Yep.
and just to be sitting on my veranda with my honeysuckle vine over to the right, maybe having like I see the scene. Okay,
Yep.
I'm there.
But
I'm there.
that's the
But I
point of
also, if I'm in the
connecting.
mood,
That's the point of
yes, if
connecting
I'm
with a
in the mood
bottle.
though, I could knock this whole bottle back tonight.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Easy drinking.
And I'm
You
ready.
know, porch pounders, patio pounders, all the same thing.
Mhm.
Because I
Mhm.
get it, but I don't care what bottle it is.
Mm.
Just take that extra time. I ask two
Mhm.
sips at a minimum, just to
Oh.
connect. And every time you do it, you
Mhm.
may
To
even
connect with
pick
the
up a
wine.
different note. You may pick up something a little bit different. And then if you imagine when you're pairing things with food, if you take the time
Yes.
to truly savor it. And so that's what I'm saying. So you got to know, you see it,
Yeah. Yes.
you swirl it, you sniff it,
Yes. We swirl.
you sip it, and you've been
You sip
savoring
it.
it. Okay, so I'm going to give you one more
Yes.
challenge with the tasting. Okay. Now,
Okay.
I think you've
Okay.
seen this when wine pros will take a sip of wine, and then
Mhm.
it's like they'll make a little circle in their
Yes.
mouth, and they'll bring
Yeah,
in
what they
air.
doing? What are they doing?
They are actually adding more air to the sip.
Oh.
So remember we talked
So they
about the
still have a
swirl?
little wine in their mouth. They still have a little bit
Yes.
of wine in their mouth and they're sucking in air with the wine to mix that
Yep.
up.
And so they basically you take it
Oh,
in,
clever.
you swirl,
Mhm.
and then you
Mhm.
add that extra air in, and then you savor it. The reason for that
Oh.
is because you're adding that extra air. So you remember when we swirled how
Oh,
it opened up that bouquet,
yes.
right? It'll do that
Yes.
same thing in your palate. Now
Okay, let's do it
you may
together.
drool a little bit. I'll do it first. I'll do it first. I'll do it first.
Okay. So you're gonna show us how it's done. Okay. Oh, hold up now. Let's see. I ain't doing all that.
That okay, you can try
I
that
don't know if
off
I'm gonna be
camera.
able to do all that.
That'll be your off
Okay.
camera
Yes.
that'll be your off camera activity. But I do like to explain why people do
Absolutely.
it.
I don't know if I can do that. But
Yeah,
no,
it's
no, no,
just
no. I'm gonna try. I'm
basically
gonna try. I'm gonna try.
you're just whistling backwards.
Okay.
It's like you're whistling.
But see, I can't whistle very well, but that's fine. Okay, I'm trying. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
That is your off camera homework. That's your off camera homework.
I gotta practice that. Oh my
But
gosh, that's way harder.
yes.
That is way harder than
But
that's way
I
harder.
like to
Okay.
explain why people do the things that they
Yes.
do. Yes, that's why we do
But
the
it
things
is,
that
I
we do
did
in the
get some air
industry.
in there, and there is a different taste. I did
Yep.
get air in there. There is a different taste. I'm willing to practice that off camera. And then when you come back again, I might have mastered it. I don't know.
I
I
think you'll
don't
be
know.
ready.
But
I
that
think you'll
was
be ready.
wild. Thank you so much. Thank you
Yes.
so much for that.
You're welcome.
Oh
You're
my
welcome.
gosh. That was amazing. So I did not, I want to do a little rapid fire with you.
Okay, let's talk.
A little rapid fire. Yeah, let's do a little rapid fire because and the first thing I'm going to ask you, I'm going to do a little bit backwards. I'm going to give you a couple of different dishes
Okay.
and I want you to tell me what type of wine you would pair with it. If you have a specific wine in mind, feel
Okay.
free to throw that out there too. But you can just tell us the type
Okay.
of wine that you would pair with this particular dish. But first and foremost, I want to start off with the Fete du Blanc because that's the
Okay.
wine that we're tasting today. So you tell me for this particular wine, the Fete du Blanc, what food would you pair with this
Um,
wine?
I will do a fun light summer salad. So at this point in time, I think a
Yes.
lot of the menus are starting to switch from spring to summer, right? You know,
Yes. Yes.
I have the absolute privilege of living in the salad capital. Being in
Yes.
California, I have the honor of being able
Yes.
to eat farm to table every day at every single
Yes.
restaurant within a 1,000 mile radius, I think, you know.
Yes.
So if I think about a cool, nice summer shrimp salad. You
Mm.
also could do some fun sushi. You could do some fun chicken. Anything kind of poultry, white meat, seafood, I would definitely do. But if you did have something that had a dressing on it that had maybe a citrusy type of vinaigrette or something, it would pair perfectly.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
think about food pairings as
Yeah.
just co-partners and people that just people that want to
Yeah.
hang out together. You know, a
Yeah.
wine that has citrusy notes will go very well with a vinaigrette that is based with citrusy notes or something with some fruity notes to it, something that's
Yes.
fruity. So
Yeah.
whether it's strawberries, whether it's, so yes, I definitely would do that.
Mm. Yum. All right. So rapid fire. I'm
Okay.
going to give you some dishes and you're going
Okay.
to tell me what type of wine, if you have a specific wine you think would
Yeah.
that the people would like, go ahead and refer us to that. But first up, hamburgers and fries. My favorite.
Burgers. I have
Cheeseburgers
a few
specifically. Okay.
cheeseburgers. I have a few things. Now, are
Okay.
they grilled on the grill? Do I get some smoky notes or are they just out the pack? Let's go. If they're
See, you
smoky,
doing it. See,
if
right
they
now
have
you're
some,
doing the most. See,
because
this is what I'm talking about, Tish.
I'm
I just
sorry.
need a burger and fries, girl. Rapid fire. This is
No,
rapid fire. You ain't supposed to be asking me
no.
no questions.
If it has good smoky notes on it and the husband has put them on the grill, your
Okay.
husband, he put out there, put them all on the grill and it's great, I would do Zinfandel. It's called the barbecue wine. It's
Okay.
great. Zinfandel is one
Okay.
of my
Okay.
favorites for anything
I'll
that's
take it.
barbecue based. So, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
I'll take that. How about shrimp and grits?
Shrimp and grits. Interesting enough, I
Mm.
probably would do bubbles. And the reason why I say that, whether they're champagne or whether they're Prosecco, Cava, a sparkling wine, I would do bubbles
Mhm.
because not knowing exactly how the sauce would be prepared at the same time, I think the bubbles still would be an enhancement and be fun.
Okay. All
Hmm.
right. Pot roast.
Roast.
I don't know who's making pot roast, but I'm just giving it to you. Pot roast.
I would go, I would go Malbec. I'm actually go Malbec. Once I kind of got a feel for how they seasoned it, because
Yes.
seasoning plays a
Like the
role. But
pot roast with the
I would do something
potatoes and
red.
the
I would definitely go
carrots and the
something red.
onions and the
And if someone's
Okay.
making it, they probably will put a little bit of red wine in it. They could also
Okay.
maybe do a Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir could possibly even go with it, a little bit lighter
Mm.
body. So if you're into something a little bit lighter body, you can easily do a Pinot Noir. Want something a little bit heavier? I would do a Malbec.
Okay. So how about a chicken pad thai?
Okay, with a little anything with usually for me that has something with a little bit of heat on it, I usually try to combat my
Yes.
heat with something that's a little bit sweeter, right? So once again, I
Okay.
would possibly do a um a Moscato d'Asti.
Ooh.
Moscato d'Asti is going to be sweet. It's basically what the Italians drink for breakfast. It's their breakfast wine. It
Really?
has a little
Okay.
bit of sweetness. It does have some sweetness to it, but it still has an essence of dryness. I would do a Riesling, something that had a little bit of residual sugar in it, something that's a little bit sweeter. Because if something's hot, you sometimes want to combat that with something that's a little bit sweeter. You can also go with some bubbles, but I will maybe do demi sec. Demi sec is going to be something that's a sweeter type of champagne, something that's a sweeter, they have more residual sugar. So when you start talking about, when you're looking at when you're looking at champagnes, you have brut, you have extra brut, you have
Mhm.
and so extra brut means, basically no sugar. Brut means, a little bit of sugar. And so you have different sugar levels. Demi sec is a higher sugar level, still dry, but it just still has a little bit of
Okay.
sweetness. And a tad bit of sweetness goes well against heat. So
Okay.
all your
All right.
Indian
Last but not
foods, all
least.
of your heat, anything with heat in them,
Yeah.
just a little tad bit of sweet. I'm not telling y'all to go drink your sweet wines, but I am telling you that
I
something
mean,
with a
because
little
come
bit
on,
of
because I'm
sweetness.
not about to do that. Yeah, I'm not really a sweet girl, but I am trying to be a little bit more open minded to
Yes.
sweeter wines in certain situations. So I'm open to trying it. I don't typically like that's not something that I could sit on the porch and drink
I
because I
drink them
just
for
don't like
pairing.
it.
I pair them with foods. You will see me with a Riesling.
Okay.
You will see me with a Moscato d'Asti. You'll see me with maybe a demi sec champagne if I'm eating
I've
something
never seen
sweet.
myself with any of those.
Right.
I just
But
don't even.
but I
But I will
really do it
try
for
it.
pairing. I do it for pairing food only. You really would not catch me
Okay.
really drinking a lot of things sweet. But there is a place and
Yeah.
space for sweet wines. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But
I'm open to finding that space. I have
mhm,
not found it yet. I am not open to entertaining that space for too long because that's not where I live. It's
yep.
not where I move and groove. But I'll you know what? I'll go visit from time to time, dip my toe in and then head on out
Next time I come to
because it
Atlanta,
ain't my
we're going to
place.
have hot food and we're going to pair. Or I'm bringing some
If
wine
the
over.
Lord
We're going
say
to
the
pair.
same.
Yes.
Okay, fine. We'll do, you know what? We'll just do a wine tasting. How about that? Next time you come to Atlanta, I will host Tish around town and we'll do a wine tasting.
Can I sit in the garden? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I want to sit in the garden.
You can have farm to table in Napa. I got farm to table in my backyard.
That's what
Okay.
I'm talking
This is
about.
what
I'm
I
trying to
do.
sit in the garden.
Yes, 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 absolutely. So my last dish, my
Okay.
last rapid fire dish is what I'm about to prepare for dinner tonight. So I'm
Okay.
asking you, this is kind of selfish for me, spaghetti and meatballs.
Trini
And
meatballs.
I'll tell you,
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you, wait. I
Okay.
got spaghetti and meatballs with a little Tuscan spice
Yep.
to the meatballs, a little ricotta cheese in the meatballs, and I'm roasting broccoli with Parmesan cheese melted on top.
Okay.
Go.
Well, you said Tuscan spice, so let's go to Tuscany. And so let's basically have a Chianti. I would do a Chianti, or basically Chianti is a
That
particular
sounds so
type of wine,
delicious.
but that's basically a Sangiovese. So I would say an Italian
Mm,
wine, and I always think about this, what grows together goes together, and
mm,
when you're in Italy, all of the things that they grow in Italy is something about Italian wines that pair so well with their
mm-hmm.
food. It's
Yeah,
it's sometimes mind blowing how well a
yeah,
pasta will pair with an Italian wine versus, you know, similar
yeah,
profile being a French wine, but it's just that Italian wine
yeah.
still just has I always will always be like, Italian wines taste like wood and dirt and earth. They do.
But pair them with a good lasagna or a good
What
chicken
grows
parm
together
or a
goes together.
good spaghetti and meatballs is amazing. So I'm excited. I'm actually gonna order a Chianti, have it delivered to the house. It'll be
Yes.
ready by the time dinner is ready. I'm
Yes.
excited about that.
Yes.
And I really just can't thank you enough. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
the education. Thank you
Thank you.
so much for the friendship.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
sister.
being a friend of the show. I hope that everyone that is listening today feels that Tish is their friend and that they can reach out to Tish when they are
I'm
in
here.
Napa or wherever. Because let me tell you, Tish travels. She gets around, honey. She knows where to go for what. And when I
Yes.
tell you, she can curate your experience. If you just say, Tish, I'm going to be in Houston, or I'm going to be in Dallas, or I'm going to be in DC, or I'm going to be in New York, I'm going to be in Cali. What should I eat?
Yes.
Where should I go? What's not to be missed? Tish can probably tell you, and if she doesn't know, she knows who to direct you to in
I
order to
definitely
tell
know
you
who to
where to go.
direct you
She knows the
to,
things.
but I likely
She
have been.
absolutely does. Yeah, she's likely been. So just follow, be sure and follow our girl. She is all of our girls. She is our girl around town, Tish around town. Follow her on Instagram at Tish around town. Get connected with her on her blog, on her website at tisharoundtown.com. She has some amazing things coming up in the month of June, July, sometime this summer. Tish,
Yes.
tell us about what's coming up. I know you can't talk fully about it, but just tease it a little bit. And I promise we'll have Tish come back on the program. I mean, she's a friend of the show now. We'll have her come back on the program and let us know what the new is, so that we can help to support her, because now she's family. Okay. She's not even just a friend of the show. She's family. She's family to all of us. And we must support Tish because we are so invested in your journey in pursuing your dream. Because really, let's be honest, your dream is my dream. So I'm helping us get to the other side. I'm so excited about it. But yes, tell us about what's next for Tish around town.
So what's brewing and cooking in the world of Tish Around Town is that I am definitely knee deep in building out my wine tours, hoping to release everything no later than the end of June. And for me, guys, that's about 30 days out. My initial phases, I'm actually releasing in phases. So I'll be releasing my six initial tours. They're fun,
So amazing.
they're intentional, and you will learn a lot about the valley just initially with those tours. Next steps after that is that I'll start to release some of my collaborations. I'm collaborating with some very fun and interesting people here in Napa Valley that do some interesting things that you'll be able to get a lot of hands on. or just things that are different. I'm all about experiences, but also taking it up some and doing some things that are a little bit different. I also do some event planning. So I actually will be, you guys will see some things that's posted for even some of my clients that I have out here that I'll be curating experiences for them, but then in turn, still promoting their events and stuff. So if you're out here and it's something I've curated for one of my clients, of course, by all means, I want you to come do that too. So I just got a few things cooking. I always feel like, what's cooking with Tish, you
I
know?
love it.
So
Yes, honey, she is around town, honey. You can find her around Napa, and you can find her over on Instagram at Tish Around Town. Find her on the website, tisharoundtown.com. We love you down, Tish. You
thank
can
you.
come back anytime. Anytime you have anything you feel like you need to say, if you want to promote something else, if you want to drink something else, if you just want to come and kiki, honey, just call me up, text me, and be like, listen, I got a few things I need to get off my chest. And then you just come on
Let's
and we have
kiki
a
on the
nice conversation.
podcast. That's
I'm
what we
so
call it, the
serious.
kiki on the podcast.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And I'm so serious.
Thank you.
Anytime you need me, you know I'm there. I can't wait to hear about the tours that you have coming up. I promise you, I can't say I'm going to come to all of them, but I'm going to come to one. I'm going to make
Yes.
sure I'm going to get my crew together. We're going to come and we're going to support. And yeah, anything that you need, just let me know. And I'm happy to have you come back on and talk about whatever you like to talk about, as long as you bring the wine.
I will bring the wine, lovely.
Yay, 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 yay. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us this week on Intimate Details with Dr. Tiff. You can listen to this podcast as well as our previous episodes on Spotify. You can listen and watch on Spotify, which is what I hope you do. But we're also available on Apple Podcasts. We're available on iHeartRadio, on Google Podcasts, on Amazon Music. Let me tell you something. Tish. I don't even think you know this, girl. Let me tell you
Come on,
something.
talk to me.
This episode right here,
Hmm. Right
is
here.
episode 10. It's episode
Hmm.
10. There are over between 3 and 4 million podcasts in the world, okay? Only 44% of the 3 to 4 million make it to 10 episodes.
Come on,
And we
let's
made it to
celebrate you,
10
sister.
episodes. And 10 sounds like a very small number, especially for some of the podcasts that I listen to. I listen to a lot of podcasts and they're well beyond 10 episodes. This is a huge milestone for us. And it is a huge deal that we are here. I'm very intentional about every guest that I bring on. I'm super excited that Tish, you are here for the 10th episode. And I just can't thank you enough as my guest. I can't thank all of you out there for listening, for riding with us, for, chugging along and plowing through these episodes. You have made this podcast what it is. And I just can't thank you enough for hanging with us, for sharing, for liking, for commenting, for subscribing, for making sure that the world knows about Intimate Details with Dr. Tiff. Please continue to do so. Please continue to comment. Please continue to let me know what you want to hear about. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep bringing the people on to talk about wine and sex because, that's what I do.
Amen.
I drink and I okay. So yeah, no, please, please, please. I've been asking for the last couple weeks. We are going to do an Ask Dr. Tiff episode coming up, and that one will entail your questions as listeners of the podcast. So if you have specific questions for me about what I do, anything therapy related, maybe it's meditation. If you listen to last week's episode, maybe it's CBD related. It could just be about relationships, love. It could be about work, career, any of those things. Just go ahead and send the questions in. We'll do our best to answer them. And if your question is asked on one of our other episodes, if we have an overflow, an abundance of questions, we'll just sprinkle those out and allow our guests also to have a hand in answering those questions. And so that will be super fun. I can't thank you, Tish. Thank you so much for being here, being a guest on Intimate Details with Dr. Tiff. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week for episode 11. Episode 11. So we broke the 10 cherry. There we go. All right.
The
I'll see you guys
cherries.
next week. Ciao. Yes. I didn't taste that in the wine, by the way. I don't think there's any cherry in there. I was looking for my cherry to be popped. All right.
What?
I'll talk to y'all later. Ciao.